You're watching Pacifica Live. Dial 866-224-5422 to join in on the fun. Hola! Hey guys! Welcome to Pacifica Live. I am your host, Melinda Pollard, Business Development Director with Pacifica Senior Living. And I have a really great guest today that I'm excited to have. We've got our brand new Executive Director from Pacifica Palm Beach, our standalone memory care, Kathleen Raymond.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hola, thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
It's nighttime. Guys, thank you for joining us. As you know, we are here every other Monday at 7 p.m. on the radio and here on Facebook Live as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Our goal is to connect you with community resources for senior living so you can get to know Pacifica a little bit better. We have 4 different communities around the South Florida area, 2 in Broward and 2 in Palm Beach to meet all of your needs. We've got our flagship community, Pacifica Forest Trace down in Fort Lauderdale, and we also have Pacifica Sunrise, and both of those are independent assisted living memory care. And then you travel on up to Palm Beach, and we've got Pacifica Palm Beach in Green Acres, our standalone memory care, as well as the Meridian at Lantana, which is also independent living and assisted living, and boast a brand new memory care coming soon. So thank you again for joining us. There is a phone number that if you'd like to dial in, ask questions, be a part. If you put that number up on the screen, then I'll know it because I never do know it by heart. I do apologize for any inconvenience that I may have caused you. And that phone number is coming up soon. So yeah, just know that when that number comes up, we would love, there it is, 888-565-1470. We'd love for you to dial in, ask any questions, any comments, as long as you're nice, on air tonight as we talk about Pacifica, as we talk about some of the community resources, as well as highlighting some of our residents. Tonight, this hour, not only will we be talking about Pacifica Palm Beach, that's our spotlight community of tonight, we also will be talking about the Happiness Chromosome Poetry Corner, and we'll tell you more about that as it comes up. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned so you get all of this stuff. This hour goes by really, really quick. So anyway, Kathleen!
So nice to be here and join you for this show. I'm really excited that we're branching out and kind of branding our company as a whole.
There we go. There we go. Can y'all hear her now?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Better now? All right. So I'm really excited to be here on the show and start branding our company. We have 4 South Florida properties, so it's exciting to start working together and really showcasing what Pacifica has to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cool thing about Pacifica, guys, is that unlike other companies where you go to one of the buildings and you know you're in one of their buildings, Pacifica really prides itself on the diversity and the originalness of each community. So each one is something different. In California, we have a community that has a whole petting zoo, chickens and everything. So down here, we're going to talk a little bit more about them. But tonight, we are going to focus on Pacifica Palm Beach. And so as we get ready to talk about that, we're going to show a little bitty video. Is that a little video? So
Little video.
enjoy. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Pacifica Senior Living Palm Beach, a memory care community located in Palm Beach, Florida. We provide a warm and comfortable yet specialized environment that allows our residents to thrive to the best of their abilities.
It was just kind of an extension of my own home. That was my first impression. I felt very well received when I came in the door.
We have 2 caregivers for 14 residents, and it gives us more time to have the one-on-one time with the residents and get to know them better.
It's like one big house that the residents live in, the cottages. She's redirected, she's taken care of, and she feels welcomed, she feels cared for, and it's an amazing difference in her. Amazing.
I saw immediately she was very stimulated by everything. She enjoyed watching things and listening things and being a part of the activities.
Here at Pacifica Senior Living, the best part of the day for me is dancing. I love to dance with the residents here.
We want it to be their home, and that's what this has become. ever since she's been here and has loved it, and it's given my family peace of mind.
She would tell me that she was happy here, and that was a wonderful thing to hear.
Yay, I hope you guys enjoyed that video that showcased Pacifica Palm Beach and the testimonials from the families. I think that always says it all. And by the way, make sure that you share this video happening right now across your Facebook platform, so that you can bring others into the fun time that we're going to have tonight, okay? Don't forget to share down at the bottom if you're on Facebook Live. And if you're on the radio, tell other people about it and tell them to tune in, okay? All right, so you guys saw that amazing video from Pacifica Palm Beach, and Kathleen's going to give you a little bit more background so that you can understand why our families are so happy there.
Absolutely. So at Pacifica Palm Beach, we specialize in memory care. We have 7 cottages where the residents live, and we separate them based off their cognitive abilities. So they're in a cottage with people who are just like them. They're in that same stage of the process. They get the right level of care and stimulation that's geared towards where they currently are. And as they decline, we move them to the appropriate cottage, hence those 7 cottages, and they look identical inside. So that reduces any trauma or frustration that's common with memory care residents when they go to a new setting. We try and pick the same acclimation in the hallway, same acclimation with where your bathroom is, where your closet is in the room. So it's not really any change in their mind. They feel like they've always been in that cottage. And another thing that makes us extremely unique from other memory cares is that we're not the typical locked door unit. We're a lock gate, so our residents have the freedom to go outside and stroll through the courtyards and get fresh air and sunshine and not feel so trapped and confined, which really reduces those aggressive and agitated behaviors because they can go whenever they want. They can walk outside the door and just explore, go outside and enjoy themselves, even visit their neighbors in the neighboring cottage in the same courtyard area. So for me, that was one of the biggest things that made me fall in love with Pacifica Palm Beach, was just the uniqueness of it all.
No, that is so, that's so unique, and that's so necessary to have that secure freedom to be able to roam about. And
Absolutely.
we have other memory care partners in the area that may have that, but I think that's really cool that the cottage style allows for that independence that still is necessary. Even with dementia, you don't necessarily fall into remembering that you have dementia all the time, and you need to have that peace of mind and that feeling that you are still able to do what you want to do, right?
Absolutely. And with our memory care, it's very different. It doesn't feel like that institutional type setting that people picture when they think of assisted living. Oftentimes they picture a nursing home and that real hospital type feel. Often our families come in and they say, wow, this is really home-like. And that's what we want them to feel. We want them to feel like they're at home and they have the freedom just like they were at home, so they can go outside. Independence isn't something that goes away because you have a memory care impairment.
Right.
And she's totally right when they say that they don't realize they have dementia. So for them, it's absurd to say that I can't walk outside unsupervised or have the freedom to explore. So being able to do that, that's one of the biggest things for them. And another great thing about our community is that we have an ECC license, which essentially means we're able to keep our residents more long-term than a traditional ALF. We're able to do things like catheters, colostomies, feeding tubes, things that you would have to be sent out to skilled nursing to do typically. We want this to be their forever home. So we try and put as many things in place to keep them forever.
Nice.
When need be, we bring in hospice services for that extra care and assistance. But we want them to be there where they're comfortable, surrounded by people who love them and care about them. That's a big, huge thing for us.
Yeah, and not to mention, let's talk about that other thing that sometimes causes people to have to move from their forever home, and that is the financial part. And now, on top of you having that ECC license, which allows you to help them age in place in their home, you also accept Medicaid, which is important as people move on and people are living longer. That's awesome, but also your money runs out a little bit more. So being able to apply for that Medicaid waiver, the diversion, whatever we call it now, is it your Medicaid long-term care, allows you to have a little bit of a buffer financially as well.
Absolutely. And then another thing that I always like to mention to my families, early on in the disease process, a lot of residents may prefer that private room.
Right.
And as those finances start to dwindle and they do go through those declining process, they might make a best friend. They might be okay with now sharing a room where originally they weren't. So there's always options when thinking of that long term. You know, there's options like Medicaid, maybe a shared room with your best friend. What's better than having a sleepover that never ends? Is what I tell to my residents. Once they find somebody that they click with, that's the person that would be best to share a room with, and have that companionship.
Right.
Sometimes it might be, you know, the opposite gender. Sometimes it may be two ladies that just are best friends.
Really?
They rely on each other. They don't share rooms.
Okay. I was
So then in the women. But they develop that bond. You know, everybody has their person.
Yeah.
I would say, especially in memory care, they'll have someone that maybe they have an attachment to. Maybe they're not on the same level cognitively,
Right.
but they're best friends. I have 2 residents who are as far apart as you can imagine, both physically and cognitively, but they love each other.
Yeah.
And they dote on each other, and the higher functioning resident's always looking after the lower functioning resident and speaking up for her and saying, oh no, I think she wants some Cheerios. And of course she didn't say anything,
Right.
but she's getting Cheerios.
But they know.
They know.
They know. Right. And I think in terms of the educational part, a lot of people are not educated about senior living as a whole. So from independent to assisted to memory care, and then where does skilled nursing fall into that? And a lot of people automatically gravitate to nursing home because that's all they know. And they don't know, I forget what the name of the act is. I'm not going to make myself sound any smarter than I actually am. But there's an act that came around that was like the congregate care, whatever, that actually created assisted living so that you had the option instead of having to go to nursing home. And so it's important to know that skilled nursing is that option that when you're unable to be in assisted living, it's also less expensive to be in assisted living.
Oh, it absolutely.
Yeah, and so having that ECC license actually means that you have the ability to go to assisted living when many of the assisted livings and the memory cares are standard license, or even LNS, which gives you a little bit more. And I know we're throwing around a whole bunch of terms right now, but essentially what you need to know is the ECC allows us to help them age in place for even longer, even if they need that catheter, even if they need those things that some of those other assisted living licenses don't allow the resident to stay in place, and now they have to go to skilled nursing. Well, they don't have to. They can actually go to Pacifica Palm Beach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always like to bring up when we talk about an ECC license,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are very unfamiliar with that term.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just apply to very nursey type things like catheters and feeding tubes and colostomy bags, but it also allows us to give full assistance with ADLs, where most assisted livings would say, we can't do that anymore. And then one of the most amazing part about us, I'd have to say, is our all-inclusive rates. So that doesn't mean that you get charged extra because mom is starting to decline and needs more assistance in the shower, or needs more prompting when eating, or more help transferring, because, you know, that's not considered a real ADL in assisted living, but in the ECC building, we can help you transfer. We can do all of those things without charging you more money, which is the great thing.
That is awesome. And when she says we, she does mean we. She's putting herself in that. One thing to know about Kathleen is she is the brand new executive director at Pacifica Palm Beach. Kathleen has done every single role.
Pretty much.
Tell the people how you started there and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. So I started at Pacifica Palm Beach about 4 years ago, last February, just the February that passed, made 4 years. I started as the evening part-time weekend receptionist. Then I started doing evening shift supervisor, did some interim move-in coordinator, which is assisting you guys with moving into the community. Then I was promoted to activities director, business office, then marketing, and now I'm the new executive director. So I've had a little bit of taste of every department and truly how that runs and functions, which I believe will make me an awesome executive director
know it will.
because I know exactly what it takes to do each and every role. And give it my all.
Right, yeah. And so now that the role of the community relations director in your building, hopefully being filled soon with another amazing associate. But I think it's such a testament to the fact that Pacifica understands talent and who is there really with the passion to take care of the residents and the families and the other associates there. To me, that is such a highlight that I think when you think of that and you're thinking about a place for your loved one, you want to be at a place that does that as well, because that actually reflects on the care overall. And I know it's kind of hard to make that connection, but just know that when people care about good things and they want to maintain that good thing, that's because they're doing that because they want the residents to be well taken care of and have the right people in place to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think not just me being one of those long-term staff members, but we have some staff that have been at our building. Even prior to it being Pacifica, some of them have been there 17 years, 18,
Wow.
19 years.
Awesome.
So we have some long-term staff that are just as dedicated to this property as I am and want to give it their all. You know, they refer to them as their houses. That's my house, and these are my residents.
Yeah.
So they take pride in their cottage and they take ownership. It's a reflection of themselves. So when you come into the cottage, you're going to see just as if you were walking into one of our staff members' houses.
Yeah.
It's got to be put together. Everyone has to look just so.
Right,
They
right.
want everyone to be the best reflection of themselves.
Do you guys ever do like any sort of contest between cottages?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I was the activities director for probably about 1.5 to 2 years at Pacifica, and I was big with contests. So every year, like for Christmas, we would have a decorating contest, and I give them, you can pick out your colors, I'll give you all the supplies, and
Right.
the most decked out cottage is going to get a big prize.
I love it.
We did the same thing with Halloween with our pumpkin carving contest. We want them to take pride in it. We want them to feel that boost of confidence when they
Right.
win a contest and say, you know what, my house was the best
Yeah.
out of everyone. And we really involve our staffs in all kinds of different aspects of the activities in the community, from talent shows that I've had them put on
that's cool.
to fashion shows. Memory care doesn't have to be what you picture for activities. It can still be fun. They can still do a lot of the things that they love to do. One of my favorite stories about being an activities director at Pacifica Palm Beach was we had a resident, Sarah, and she used to play the piano, and that was her thing for many, many years. Well, by the time she got to our community, she'd kind of lost a lot of remembering who she was.
Right, right.
However, I brought out a keyboard one day, and the staff were like, "Oh, is there an entertainer coming?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Are you going to play?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, what's going on?"
Right.
Even the family members were getting intrigued and coming over, like, "What's going on, Kathleen?" And I'm
yeah.
like, "Just wait, just wait." I brought Sarah out, and I told her, you know, I know it's a little different, the piano and the keyboard. There's less keys. Just picture the center of the piano and just play around.
Right.
And she sat down and she played the most beautiful gospel song you've ever heard. I mean, everyone was in tears by the end of the
that's
song.
awesome.
And she actually performed at our Mother's Day brunch and played music the entire time, and she had a blast.
That is
She
awesome.
forgot that she could do that. And by not limiting her and thinking
Right.
about, you know, what she should and should not be able to do, we discovered that's something she still had inside of her.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory.
That
So
is so
me being a
cool.
musician and having a lot of experience with musical instruments, even when I don't play for years, I pick it up and it's instinct. It just
Right.
flows out of you, like
Right.
tying your shoes or riding a bike. Those things that are just ingrained in your brain that you'll never forget.
That is really
So that was a
cool.
huge moment for me.
So, and if people wanted to tour, we'll repeat this throughout the night, but if they want to come for a tour at Pacifica
Absolutely.
Palm Beach, how do they do that?
You can just give us a call and we'll set up a tour, or you can stop by. We're located at 4760 Jog Road, or you can give me a call on my cell at 561-275-9300.
We're going to give out a lot of cell numbers tonight, guys, and that just means we're just very accessible.
Yes.
We don't know if that's a
Text us,
good thing
call
for our
us.
family. But we're accessible because the industry that we're in senior living, it's I know a lot of people think of it in terms of numbers and sales and how many move-ins, but that's not what we are. We are in the people business. Many times people are making this decision. It's the hardest decision they've ever made in their life. And that, even with independent living, by the way, because we're talking about people leaving their homes, their big, beautiful homes, and having to downsize into independent living because they just have made the choice, but it's still hard. Or assisted living, which I think that goes without saying, has the same struggle, and you need a little bit of help. And then I think memory care probably takes the cake because you're talking about daughters, sons, husbands, wives having to already go through the hard transition of knowing that their loved one is experiencing these memory impairments, whichever dementia it is, but now having to make the decision to have them move into memory care.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it is the connotation that we have surrounding memory care and what that typical stereotype of a memory care can be.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when families get to my community, they say they've never seen a place like this. They've never felt a place like this where you walk in and you just feel at home.
Right.
It really feels like a little house. Everything that they need is solely sufficient in the cottages.
Yeah.
They have their own little kitchen, own dining room, living room area for the residents in that cottage. So they don't have to
Yeah.
schlep off to a dining hall. It feels like home. It's more intimate
Nice.
type feeling.
You know, and again, I'm not going to pretend to be smarter than I am, but if I'm not mistaken, I remember reading some research on this sort of format. I think it's called like a greenhouse kind of thing. Don't get me the line, Google it. But it's very popular in some of the European countries, and it lends really well for memory care. I think I would even want to live that way, period. Just knowing that I've got my own little section of people and my own little clique and my own little space, to me is the best way, I think, to do.
Yeah,
to do
you get the
memory care.
benefits of a larger community because we are a 98-bed community.
Okay.
So you get the perks of a big flowing activities program
Right.
and a big nice dining experience. However, you get that small feel where people want to place an environment that's not so overwhelming. It's not like that 6-story building where you walk in and you're like, well, mom has to eat dinner down this hall. She's got to go to the right and to the left. It's
Right.
a true story from the other day.
I know.
And I was like, well, mom has to walk out the hall, walk 12 paces, and she's at the table.
Yeah.
So it's much more convenient for
Yeah.
them and less overwhelming.
And so perfect for memory care. And you know, not to I like segues, by the way. I like the word segue. Just because you're moving right into what you really wanted to talk about. But you were talking about Sarah and the piano and how she had went in right and was muscle memory to start playing that song and giving that concert. And that's the person that she's always been. And even with memory care, obviously, we know that's one of those things. And moving into senior living, period, in our culture. I don't know how many of you tuned in last show where we rolled out our newest interview segment, The Person I've Always Been. And we interviewed one of the Pacifica Forest Trace residents, Gail Banter, who's been there for 10 years, and she provided such wisdom on how our culture lacks how we view our elderly, our aged people. In other cultures, they are revered. They are leading the nation. They are looked to for their wisdom and their creativity. And here I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry. Anyway, but in our culture here in the United States, many times the older you get, the less valued you're considered. And what we want to do is bring a light, shine a light on. That's not what we do at Pacifica. That's not what we do, period. It's just people. We know that as we get older, maybe this has to do with something about me being 40 now. I'm not being devalued. I'm actually getting better with age, like wine, getting better, fine as wine. And so the Person I've Always Been segment is meant to highlight that. And one of the things we learned last time is that Gail is a author. She has penned 3 books of prose, 3 books of poetry since she has been at Pacifica Forest Trace. And her most recent book, The Happiness Chromosome, one of my favorites, has now actually been nominated for the 27th Colorado Independent Publishers Association's EV Award, or is it EVI Award? EVVY Award. Very, very excited because only 3 books a year are actually selected to be nominated. And her book has been, she penned this during this COVID time, and she talks about how moving to independent living from her plush place in Boca 10 years ago was one of the best decisions that she ever made because she has earned lifelong friends. And during this COVID time, even while they were on lockdown, she never missed that interaction. And she's very, very grateful for having made that decision. And it comes out in her book, The Happiness Chromosome, which is why we are calling this next segment the Happiness Chromosome Poetry Corner. Right? Is that what we're calling it? Yep. I had to look at my notes. That's what we're calling it. So we are going to present to you the very first poem in her book. It is actually titled, it's called The Happiness Chromosome, and it is read by Aiden Pollard. Pay no attention to the last name. You will love his voice, and I think you will enjoy this next segment. Please enjoy The Happiness Chromosome Poetry Corner, read by Aiden Pollard by Gail Banter.
To each is given a little pouch tied with a silver cord. Inside you may find a silvery seed. Inside a tiny dome. It's your happiness chromosome. I believe each life gets one share, one seed to each. But how to grow this happy life is very hard to teach. A life filled with happiness, with noble attitude, and a sense for finesse is a life truly blessed. In that pouch you'll find indeed all you need for your happiness seeds. You may choose to grow this chromosome seed and build a solid home. But if you get stressed and easily depressed, and you think of those who are more prepossessed, your anger will endanger the chance for romance and a lure that is rightfully yours. And while others keep tilling their joyful garden, you'll mourn your fate as your heart will harden. But remember, friend, you too were given the same pouch, the same potential. Your life may have turned out sensational. You too were invited to the prom. So enjoy your happiness chromosome.
Yay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Wasn't that lovely? And that was just the first line in her book, The Happiness Chromosome, and we will be bringing that to you every Pacifica Live show, every episode. So you want to make sure that you always tune in every other Monday at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook Live or on your radio and catch all of these goodies. And that, to me, that Happiness Chromosome, the book that Gail has written, is such a picture of how the people that we've always been, that's what we are here to protect, to preserve, and to allow them to express it. And what better guest to have today than Kathleen Raymond of Pacifica Palm Beach, Pacifica Standalone Memory Care here in South Florida. ECC license, extended congregate care, right? Can do a little bit more than the standard license, takes Medicaid, and provides this cottage format that is very unique. So, Kathleen, thank you again for being here.
Absolutely. I enjoy being here.
Yeah. So we just saw that video. We just saw the fruit of what it means to continue to be the person you've always been. And that's super important when you are living in memory care, where a lot of times now you don't remember something, so now you're not seen as more important, and now we just want to take care of your care. Tell me a little bit more about at Pacifica Palm Beach. What are we doing to maintain that dignity for people that have some sort of memory impairment?
Absolutely. So with Pacifica Palm Beach as the activities director or caregiver, I think one of the most crucial things for me that was my guide was the resident biography. And I know almost every community has you fill this out.
Yeah.
However, we use ours very much. Even when they can't remember who they were or maybe what they had for breakfast or what's going on that day, their long-term memory for the most part is still fully intact. So when you talk to them about those moments when they were a child, when they were getting married, when they first had their first child, chances are most of the residents remember those moments. And those are the moments that you use to redirect them when they're having a bad day or they're sad. And it's also the way that you find a way to reach them. So depending on what they did for a living, you might be able to connect with them. Like I had one lady, she worked for the IRS. And she was just having a bad day, and we had visitors over, and she wanted everyone out her house. This is my house, and you got to get out, and you got to leave right now.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, and the caregivers are trying to redirect her. They've tried everything.
Right.
So they call me, and they're like, Kathleen, help. We're throwing a birthday party, and she's trying to throw everybody out. What do we do? So I'm thinking, okay, she worked for the IRS. If it isn't written, it didn't happen. You know, it's about documentation for her. So let me show her something in writing that will make her understand.
Okay.
So I pulled our census. And it shows every resident and their room number, and she has some good friends in the cottage. So at first I went, well, you know Betty, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, I know Miss Betty. She rents a room for me. And I was like, yeah, that's her right here. Okay. You know Leroy, right? And she's like, yeah, that's my friend. He rents a room too. And I was like, okay, well, you see this lovely lady over there trying to have a birthday party? She rents a room from you too. And she's like, oh, well, I don't know if I feel comfortable with these people at my gate. And I went, well, that's okay because I change the code every day and they'll never know. And she's like, all right. I guess they can stay. But then she threw me a curveball. Wait a minute.
Okay.
If all these people are renting rooms from me, where does all the money go? I went, very good question, Miss Sarah. And I pulled out my expenses and I went, actually, you see, then I had to buy food. I had to pay these caregivers. It was written down. Then she was okay with it. She's like, okay, they can stay, but they have an hour. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
That is so.
But it took getting into her mindset. No
Yeah.
other logic would work for
Yeah.
her unless she's seen it in writing.
Yeah.
She's an IRS lady. It's
Yeah.
got to be written. You got to talk to her about numbers and
Yep.
facts.
Yeah.
Not about, what you should remember. And with memory care, you never say, don't you remember?
Exactly.
You don't try to rationalize whatever you're thinking in your logical mind at that moment.
Right.
You got to step out of your world and step into theirs and find the reality that they're currently in and meet them there. So if they think they're at work today, you're at work today.
Right, right.
I have a lady who used to be a Nurse Betty. And when she first got there, she was very anxious and needed something to do. So I gave her a little notebook and she walked around and she was charting on all the other residents. She was documenting about them and
Yeah.
she just walked around all day charting on the residents.
Right, right.
And that made her fulfilled.
That's the key.
Something so simple
Yeah.
as letting her document while she walked around.
Yeah.
Because that's what she did every day.
Right.
Or we had a gentleman who was an engineer, and one day he was just having a really, really bad day. And I told him, you know what? I need help. I need to knock this wall down, but I need to figure out if I can do that and where all the cords are. And there's gas line in this building. And what if I hit that? And
Right.
I gave him all the schematics for the building, and I set him down at the table, and he jotted notes for a couple of hours.
That's so great.
And that made him happy. That made him interested. Everyone wants to feel useful and productive.
Yeah.
So giving them little tiny jobs to do makes them feel so much better. Some of our residents, they love to fold the laundry. That's their favorite thing in the world to do.
Right.
Okay, you can fold the laundry. And then when you're done, I'll unfold it, and I'll give it back, and you can fold it again. Because that's what you like to do all day. Or if you want to go sweep off the patio,
Right.
here. Little things that make them feel like they're contributing. Because
Right.
everyone wants to feel useful, no matter how older you get, no matter how much you forget, you still know that you want to have value.
Right.
And by showing them that little thing that they did means the world to us. They have value. They feel fulfilled. So you helped me hang the boards today, and I don't think I could have finished that without you.
Right.
I really, really was depending on you.
Yeah.
That is going to make their day like times 10. And it could be something so small and trivial.
Right. And guys, I think we can't begin to put a dollar amount on how essential that is as we move into dementia, the later stages, any stage you're in. People still want to feel useful. That does not go away. And unfortunately, it's very hard to do that when someone is at home with that one caregiver, right? Because that caregiver is having to focus on always providing for those activities of daily living. What do they need? They need to eat, da, 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 da. And they are not always able to go into their worlds with them, like a community such as Pacifica Palm Beach that has staff, people that care, people that are trained, like dear Kathleen here. Can we give a round of applause for the fact that she is the executive director there now, that she's going to be leading the charge, leading that ship to ensure that every resident has these same experiences, that it's the same for everyone.
Absolutely.
That is very, very cool.
That's going to be the goal overall, is just to make every experience completely unique for those
Right.
residents and, give them the best quality of life that they can have in that position. Yes, memory care can be a very, very challenging disease. When you have dementia, there's all different kinds of forms, and it takes a very specialized community to really
Right.
understand the differences. We're trained in Alzheimer's level 1 and 2.
Okay.
And not just that, we use a lot of practical training experiences.
Right.
I've given these myself when I was HR, and we did a training situation.
She was
and
HR too.
Everybody was sitting down at the table, and I asked one lady to sit down in a wheelchair. And she sat down in the wheelchair, and I was giving my in-service, and I was just talking, and out of nowhere, I grabbed the back of her wheelchair, I spun her around, and I shoved her up to a table. And she jumped out of the chair, and she went, why did you do that? And I said, now, do you understand the importance of when you're coming up to that resident to approach them from the front?
Right.
Speak to them. Let them know what that next step is. I'm going to
Right.
go ahead and turn you around and put you up to the table so we can have some lunch now.
Right.
If you come from behind, you're going to startle them. And I'm like, and now imagine having dementia, your senses are weakened.
Right.
You don't hear as well. You don't see as well. You're confused.
Yeah.
And then someone comes from behind you. That's a lot about the approach when it comes to memory
Right,
care and getting
right.
it just right.
And those same tidbits that you're talking about, the training. Alzheimer's Association has a lot of great resources that take caregivers, even if you are using the at-home care and, that's what you've chosen. We think everyone should do what's the best for their loved one. And Alzheimer's Association is one of those resources, alz.org. We love them very much. We partner with them often. We actually are in the process of planning our Alzheimer's Association The Longest Day event. For all of you who don't know what The Longest Day is, it's one of Alzheimer's Association's newer fundraisers. Everyone knows about the walk, and we all participate in the walks, whether we're Palm Beach, Broward County. We are all participating in the Alzheimer's Association's walk. The Longest Day is newer over the past couple of years, one of my favorites because it allows you to be creative, think outside of the box, and do what you love to do, what's passionate to you or your loved one that you're raising money in the name of. So people have done, lemonade stands. I've done concerts, and we've done art things and sales and silent auctions, all of those, anything you can possibly think of, you can do a fundraiser too. We will be doing one at all of the Pacifica locations, dates to be determined. We're working on that right now, but you can go to alz.org/TLD, I think, or even just Google the Alzheimer's Association, The Longest Day, however you want to get to it. You got to love Google. You can't go wrong. Go and you can sign up as well to do your own fundraiser. I am on the committee for the Longest Day Association, for the Alzheimer's Association here in South Florida, and I'm very, very passionate about us all rolling up our sleeves, doing whatever we can to contribute as we try to find a cure for these I say diseases because dementia is
Many
a
forms.
big umbrella, a lot of different forms. A lot of people think of Alzheimer's, and that's just one of the dementia. So I'll keep plugging that away because I want everyone to know, and I know you don't know because you just weren't told. So that's what we're here to do. And as Pacifica Live is your resource for senior living here in South Florida, that's what we aim to do, is to keep you connected. And that is actually a great segue. See how I use that segue again, to the fact that we are a resource regardless of which community we're talking about, whether we're talking about Palm Beach or Forest Trace or Lantana, the Meridian at Lantana, or Sunrise down in Broward. If we are not able to accommodate your loved one, you or your loved one, with one of our communities, we consider ourselves a resource and will connect you to what is going to be the best for you. For instance, if you're talking about staying at home, guys, we have so many private duty and home health resources, elder care managers that can help you navigate through that, as well as other, I call them community partners. I don't call them competition because there's something for everyone, and every place is not always good for everyone. And we recognize that. So it's not our desire to try to push Pacifica on you. We are here as a resource for you. And whether that be you become part of our families at our communities, or we can connect you to the places that work for you, that's what we're here to do. So my number actually, which has been on the screen, 954-773-5860. That is my cell number. And I am available at any point when you want to be connected to, that's Kathleen's number actually, but there's my number, 954-773-5860. And what my desire is to ensure that if you don't know how to get in touch with one of the Pacifica communities, you can reach out to me. I will get you to the right one, because you may not even know what your price points are, who accepts Medicaid, what their licenses are, where are they located, are they in Palm Beach, are they in Broward? I can help you with that. So please feel free, take my number, jot it down. You can text me, you can call me. Even if I don't answer, you can leave a message. I promise you I'll check my voicemail and I'll get back to you and get you to the right place. And again, if we cannot accommodate what you need with the Pacifica community, I'll get you connected to the place, the people that can help you, right? Right, Kathleen?
Absolutely.
So we'll give Kathleen's number as well, too, because that is how you're going to schedule your tour at Pacifica Palm Beach, right?
Yes. And I love, love, love what you said about maybe we're not the right fit. For me, this is a very personal reason why I do what I do. My mom had Alzheimer's and multiple sclerosis. And for me, I just want to be that person that I didn't have. that guide. Even if you don't end up at our community or one of my sister properties, we want to make sure that you find the best place.
Exactly.
I had a situation where somebody's really low on finances, and I'm like, I will find you a place. Don't just keep them at home where you're not even there like 90% of the day and something bad's going to happen. I will help you find what you need to find, because it makes you feel good inside to help and to be that person when you don't know where to turn. And with memory care, it can be one of the most challenging situations because you don't know you need it until you know, and then you need it now.
Yeah.
And you don't know where to turn to. There's no guidebook with all the right answers that tells you step by step what you should do, who you can reach out to.
Right.
There's so many resources in the community to help support people that are struggling with this, the caregivers. I cannot begin to explain how helpful it is to attend a support group. And I know there's a big stereotype on that one too.
I don't know why, because they are necessary.
Oh, they are so
Yeah.
necessary. I mean, when I found out my mom was diagnosed and I started this journey, I was 19. I just found out I had to pay taxes. And then I had to figure out how to become a power of attorney, a medical surrogate. Where's the right place? Can she stay in an ALF, or because of her multiple sclerosis, does she need skilled nursing? Then what about if she's at skilled nursing? Do they have the appropriate training when it comes to dementia? And there was one experience that really set me on my journey. I asked the activities director at the community that my mom was at, do you think you could take my mom to an activity or two, maybe a couple times a week, because she needed to be transferred? And the lady looked me in my face and she said, she's got dementia. What do you expect? And I went, oh God, I don't expect that answer. But give me a minute. I don't really know what I expect, but I'm going to do a whole bunch of research and I'll get back to you. And I did. But that's what started me on that passionate journey. And kind of my field and activities was, okay, what can you do with memory care? And learning and kind of developing that, because my brother really struggled with that with my mom. Once she started to lose her memories and kind of forgot who she was, it was awkward for him to maintain a conversation. What do we talk about? And I said, we'll talk about the things you've always talked about. And he's like, well, she's not going to remember. And I said, talk about the things that you enjoy and she'll participate, trust me. And find those little things that you see a glimmer of that personality of who she was before in her. And for my mom, one big one was, I used to ask her, who's the president, Mom? And she'd say, George Bush. And I'd go, which one? And she'd go, there's only one. What are you talking about? And I'd go, okay, so I know where your mindset is. And I'd show her a picture of the current president then, who was Barack Obama.
Right.
And my mom would be like, oh my goodness, I lived to see history. That was a moment in her brain that she never thought she'd see, because remember, she's thinking first George Bush. Think about how much our country had changed in those years. So to go from that mindset to we had a black president, like this was history, and it was a moment that she'd never forget. And my mom was a true hippie. Like she would protest, she'd picket sign. Like, she was all about that new movement and change in America.
That
so
like makes
for her,
me
when
want
she
to cry
seen it,
to know that
she was like, and that was her moment.
Yeah.
So when she was having a bad day, I would tell the caregivers, ask her who the president is, show her a picture. I promise you it will make her smile. So that's what we try and do at our community, is find that one moment that will brighten their day, no matter how bad that day is, whether it's a person, a place, a time, a moment that they had when they first went to school or got married or met their best friend, whatever that moment was. We reminisce about that, because that's not a moment that they're going to forget.
Right. You're such a gem. And I just want to, a little side note to that story she told about that activities director. Could you tell me what happened to that activities director a couple of years later?
Yes. Fast forward, I was the activities director, and she was actually at my property applying to be the activity assistant. And I asked her all about memory care and dementia and how she felt with working with memory care residents. And she told me that, she felt 100% on board and that she could do a great job. And I said, oh, that's funny, because I think I recall you at one point saying, you weren't sure what to do with a dementia resident. And at that moment, I think it just hit her. She looked at my face again, and I'm a spitting image of my mother.
Right.
And she got up and she just ran out. She just picked up her bag and she took off. Because, what do you say to that? You're supposed to be somebody who works in this field, who has training and expertise. But this job isn't for everyone. When it comes to memory care or senior living, it takes a special kind of person that really loves the residents and cares about them. For me, those residents are my family. Even my kids look at them as family. When they come to pick me up from work, they go, Mommy, can we see the residents? Aww. I've literally had to go over and FaceTime with the residents so my kids can see them, because they're used to popping up for a visit and coming to see them and dance and sing for them.
And now...
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're really sad because Easter's approaching, and that's usually our time where we go hide Easter eggs for the residents.
Right.
And my kids love that,
Yeah.
even with the low functioning residents. And this is how curious of a child's mind is. My daughter was 6 last year, or the year before, 6.
Right.
And she says to me, Mommy, but what about the residents in this cottage? Because they were low functioning. And she's like, if I hide them, they're not going to find them, Mommy. And she goes, I'm going to make it easy for them. So one of the residents had a cup of water on the table, and she stuck the egg right behind the cup of water so that when she picked up the cup of water, she would see the egg.
Yeah.
So she got really thoughtful. She was putting them in their walker baskets so that when they opened up their walker, they'd see a few candy eggs and have a little treat. But it
That's
just
so
goes to show that's that next generation
Yeah.
of the people who are going to be doing those caregiving
Yeah.
positions. She
And-
already says when she grows up, she wants to be like Mommy, and she wants to work with old people, and she wants to take care of them and have parties and have fun. I think she will be the next activities director.
And we'll get her on the dock
Yes.
at Pacifica Palm Beach,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and we're really excited that the vaccine is rolled out and that hopefully. No, not hopefully. We know
In the near
in the near
future.
future, we are going to see some normalcy, and your children will be able to get back and
Yes.
do those Easter egg hunts again. We know that, and we're standing by that. But we are obviously protecting our residents and following protocols depending on which community that you're in, from memory care to assisted living. So you can call me at any time if you're interested in knowing more about that. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a new resource that's going to be rolling out and a little bit more about Pacifica Palm Beach. Pacifica Senior Living is proud to do what we love and truly believe in providing compassionate, personalized care that ensures dignity and respect for all of our residents. We'd love for you to join the Pacifica Senior Living family and settle into one of our senior living communities here in sunny South Florida that will have you or your loved ones enjoying your retirement years to the fullest. Contact us today to join the Pacifica Senior Living family. We can't wait to welcome you home. Call 954-543-0773. You're watching Pacifica Live. Dial 866-224-5422 to join in on the fun. Hola, hola. Thanks for sticking in. If you are still here, we appreciate you so much for joining us. And remember, this is every other Monday. Not every Monday, every other Monday here on Facebook or on the radio dial that you're in already right now. And remember to like and share this post. Even if you're watching this after the fact, share it, rewatch it. Let other people know, and make sure you tune back in when we're on live, okay? One of the really cool things, by the way, again, we're here with Kathleen Raymond of Pacifica Palm Beach, our standalone memory care in Green Acres. We've had really great stories, man. I love these stories of the residents and how well you take care of them, and how she has been there and done everything from front desk to activities, to business office, HR, to the community relations director, doing the sales and marketing there, to now the new executive director at Pacifica Palm Beach. We're so excited and happy that she is here with us.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. So one of the things I talked about earlier was the fact that I am your resource. If you want to be connected with any of our Pacifica properties and you don't already know who to connect with, right? Or you need a resource and you're not sure if Pacifica can accommodate you, you can call me at 954-773-5860. It's my cell number. You can text me and I will answer, I promise. And I will help you get to what you need, even if we are not able to help you with the Pacifica property. But hopefully you'll be able to be a part of our family. We have a new resource that's rolling out soon. Stay tuned, called the Pacifica Patient Placement Resource. The idea behind this is that you get a chance to see all of our communities with one look. You get a chance to see starting rates. You get a chance to see who accepts Medicaid, like Pacifica Palm Beach. Also our Pacifica Sunrise location as well, that has memory care and assisted living and independent living. And on there, also a little resource corner to help direct you to some of the other resources here in the Broward, and Palm Beach area. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get those into the hands of our case managers and our discharge planners and all of our social workers and care managers, elder law attorneys, and you. So as soon as I have that rolled out, you guys will be the first to know. We will debut it right here on Pacifica Live so that you know how to get connected with any resource here in South Florida, up and including the Pacifica communities here in South Florida, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And Kathleen is a resource, guys. She's been there, and again, because we're very like-minded, her and I, because we understand that this is a human care thing that we're doing here. We're not here just selling you Pacifica. And I know that that sounds crazy. Most people who are your community relations directors or your business development director, they're all thinking about how they can get something from you and how they can get a referral from you. And of course we want those. But more than anything, we want you to know that we are here as your resource. We are here as your community partner to get you connected with whatever you need, because we understand that many times what we do is a very event-driven type of decision, right? No one is shopping at Target for senior living, right? Am I the only one that goes into Target and then picks up stuff they didn't really need?
Yes.
Yeah. So that doesn't happen with senior living. You're not picking up stuff that you don't need. Most people are making the decision, even with independent living, even though independent living, by the way, guys, is not assisted living. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not ready for that. You know, you don't move to independent living when you're ready for it. You move into independent living so that you will be ready if that happens, right? It's like living on a cruise ship. But 9 times out of 10, everything is event driven, meaning mom has fallen, mom has got dementia. I'm saying mom, but we know dad and we know brothers and we know sisters are all a part of this as well. And so we are here to help you in the event of that event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really important to think about all of those different types of families. I actually have at my community, I mean, there's all different types of situations. I have a mom who placed her son in our community.
Oh, man.
Very unlucky family, in my opinion. I mean, the father had it. He lived at Pacifica Palm Beach, and then his son lives at Pacifica Palm Beach. Yes.
Wow.
A couple decades later, but the mom actually recognized the staff. Yeah. They took care of dad, and now they take care of the son. But it's to think about those different dynamics. It's not always what you picture in your brain or who you picture in your brain. Sometimes it's not a family member at all that's standing there at the end of the day. It's your best friend.
Yeah.
Who you went through everything with, and you don't have any family, so they are your family.
Right.
And they're the one looking out for you and having that tough decision, which makes it a little bit even more tougher. Because when do you ever think in your mind that you're going to have to help your best friend move into senior living or a memory care community?
Right.
It's not something you really plan. You're thinking about spending your golden years out, enjoying yourself on a cruise ship together.
Because if you're like me, you just graduated high school. I promise. I think I did. Even though my daughter is about to be 21 and my son's about to be 19, I can't even imagine. So how do I imagine placing my best friend, hey, Ruthie Carter, down in Dallas, Texas? Apparently, I'm going to be helping you move into assisted living.
You never know.
You never know. But thank you so much for being on today, guys. And again, how do people reach you if they'd like their own private tour of Pacifica Palm Beach?
You can reach me by phone. My cell is 561-275-9300, or you could always call the community at 561-434-0434.
Yeah. And you want to make sure you do that today. Even if you're not necessarily looking for memory care, sometimes just being able to be aware so that you can be educated enough to help other people is a good thing to do. And so that's actually a great segue. See how I did that again? Use the word segue to the professional partnerships that we do at Pacifica. SNALA, the Skilled Nursing and Assisted Living Alliance, which has been around for 7 years in Broward and in Palm Beach. And what we focus on is supporting them, supporting you, supporting them. Many times in our industry, we can get very burnt out, okay? And so what we're always trying to do is ensure that we're supporting each other by providing each other with resources, emotional support. We're like a little support group for professionals. And if you are interested in knowing more about that, you also would be able to take tours of Pacifica communities because we're doing SNALA pop-ups. And I can talk about that on another day. But if you're interested, you can use that same cell number there at the bottom of the screen, or if you're listening, 954-773-5860. Okay. Now, today we spotlighted Pacifica Palm Beach, our standalone memory care. We have also spotlighted Pacifica Forest Trace, our independent assisted living, our luxury independent and assisted living and memory care in Fort Lauderdale and in Inverary. But we will have some of our other communities as well as other community partners, guys. We'll have doctors, we'll have home health. We've had Pedigo Boca, the bicycle shop right here in Boca Raton, Florida. Lots and lots of fun guests. So make sure you tune in every other Monday at 7 p.m. Make sure you like and share, even if you're watching this after the fact. And we are just happy to be connected with you. And we look forward to connecting with you more. This has been Pacifica Live. I am your host, Melinda Pollard, Business Development Director with Pacifica Senior Living here in South Florida. We've also had Kathleen Raymond at Pacifica Palm Beach, our standalone memory care. And thank you for joining us again. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Go eat some dinner, go relax. It's Monday night, and then get up in the morning and do it again on Tuesday. Okay? All right. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night. Bye. You've been listening to Pacifica Live. Join us every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Call 954-543-0773 to schedule your tour at a Pacifica community today.
Hey everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing